Welcome to our webinar series. This is the first in a series of 5 webinars we're going to be doing on AI, especially AI for small businesses. We're calling it the AI Playbook. This is session 1, why AI isn't making a difference in your business just yet, because the whole point of this series is not only to explain that, but also how to actually really move the needle. So for today's webinar, here's what our agenda looks like. We're going to start out talking about the paradox of AI in businesses and small businesses. We're going to talk about the landscape of AI as it exists today and mental models that people have about how they're thinking about AI and how they should be thinking about it. Right. Then we're going to switch over into part 3, which I'm calling Humanity plus AI, which talks about how we're going to think about what AI is going to be doing and what humans are going to be doing, and is AI going to take over the world and all of that. So we're going to jump into that kettle of fish, and then we'll wrap up, hopefully having plenty of time for conversation and questions. If you do have questions, please put them in the chat, and I'll be keeping an eye on that. So let's jump in. First of all, if we haven't met yet, my name is Tim Singleton. That's me from a couple of years ago. I am the founder and CEO of Strive Technology Consulting. We're based in Boulder, Colorado. You can think of us as the outsourced IT department and cybersecurity department and AI department for small businesses. There's a whole lot more I can talk about there. So if you have curiosity, I'll have my contact info in at the end. But for now, let's just jump in. First, a disclaimer. If you're watching the recording, this is being held in mid-2026. As we all know, AI is very rapidly evolving. And so the date matters. There's this thing called Amara's Law, where humans, we tend to overestimate the effect of a technology in the short run, and we tend to underestimate its effects in the long run. So if you're watching this on a recorded video, there's a lot that is conceptual and definitely still going to be applicable to everybody. However, the details are going to be changed in time. Just take that caveat in place. And with that disclaimer, let's jump into what I'm calling the paradox of AI in business. Okay, so what is this paradox? If I asked you all, will AI be mission critical to your business and to your industry? Here's what I'm guessing I would see is a whole room full of people with their hands up. Yes, absolutely. We all know this. By the way, for the first couple of these images, I just put, yes, these are AI generated, of course. I just put the prompt that I used to generate that image down in the bottom. Literally, you throw that in ChatGPT and that comes out. It's pretty great. So that's obvious. What's the paradox here? If I ask everybody who's spending more than a couple $100s a month on AI right now, I'd probably get the reactions kind of like this, right? The paradox here is that everybody knows what they need to do. We need to get into AI. Nobody knows how. If AI is really going to be transformative to your business and your industry, and you know it, and everybody else knows it, why isn't everybody spending thousands, tens of thousands a month on getting into this, getting into AI? We know what we know. We know what we need to do. We just don't know how we need to do it. All right. There was an MIT study recently. They went into 300 different companies that were all running a generative AI program. And what they found was that 95% of these companies reported exactly 0 return on revenue. Return on investment, sorry. Why is that? These are large companies. The MIT wasn't studying little mom and pop bakeries. They're studying big industries. Why is nobody seeing an ROI? Is it because AI has failed or isn't worth deploying? No, It's because everybody knows what to do, but not everybody knows how to do it.
There's this thing that I call the Piñata Problem, where we're all basically treating AI like a big piñata. Okay. Everybody's afraid of missing the boat. And so they just put on the blindfold and they swing away. They don't want to miss out on the AI boat. So they're just swinging away at the piñata, hoping treasure is going to fall out the bottom. It doesn't work that way, but we don't really know how to do it better. We just know that we got to get into this game. Most specifically, they're doing this because they don't know the landscape. They don't understand what AI is all about, how it works, how to do it. And that's what this webinar is about. We're going to be covering how AI works, what AI is and what it isn't, and how to think about it. So that's going to be our next 30 to 40 minutes. This here is a quote from my business coach. There are about 100 things that we're going to need to do in our business right now. At any given time, there are 100, there are 1,000 things that we need to get done in our business. Honestly, only about 5 of them are actually going to move the needle. This is one of the best business lessons I have ever learned. You're not using AI for those 5 things. People are using AI to write better emails and automate some things that they just find annoying. You're not using AI for the things that are actually going to move the needle, and so you're not seeing an ROI. If there's one slide that I want you to take away from this entire webinar, it's this one. Okay. How to get the ROI will be the rest of this series. Today, we're going to talk about what AI is and how to think about it. So, first up, what the landscape and mental models. What is AI and what is not AI? Okay. First, we're going to talk about ChatGPT. How does AI work? When you think of AI, most people think of ChatGPT. Great. What they don't think of is the GPT. Most people, GPT is just the name of ChatGPT. That doesn't actually mean anything. Actually, these 3 letters are the key to understanding how AI works. And so I want to go over them very specifically individually. GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. I'm not going to be very technical in this webinar. That's about the busiest mouthful of content I'm going to give you. But let's go through each of these words and through these, we can find out how AI is actually working. First up is generative. If I asked you to fill in the blank here, once upon a, what would you say? Well, time. Most people would say time. What if I asked you to fill in this blank? Once upon a time, what would you do? Well, you might say there, as in once upon a time there was a princess. Or you might say in, once upon a time in a land. Once upon a time a young boy. Once upon a time, long, long ago. You could pick any of those. It's not as obvious what the next word is. But if you look at all the books out there, all the fairy tales out there, you can run a statistical analysis and find out most likely what the next word is going to be. So here's what that analysis looks like according to Google. If you the probability of the next word being there is 5%. In is 4%, 332. So this is these top 5 make up about 17% of the possibilities. From there, that drops to 1%, and then thousands of others uh, are less than 1%. And this is how AI works. Okay, this is what the generative part of this means. AI is going to generate the most likely next word or phrase using statistics. It's basically like a genius version of autocomplete. Okay. Importantly, it does not search. Some AIs do, but for the most part, think of it this way. Generative AI is not searching for your answer. It's generating an answer from statistics and context. So if you ask it the same question a dozen times, you're going to get a dozen different answers because it's not searching for your answer, it's creating it. This is where hallucinations come from. Okay. Hallucinations are not actually mistakes, they're just statistics, not knowing what you want next. You have some idea in your head of how reality works and what the next most likely thing is to say. But what you're thinking maybe isn't statistically aligned with ChatGPT or Claude or whatever else. So hallucinations are part of the game, right? They're not likely going to be it's not really a bug that's going to be fixed. It's just how statistics works. Now, it's going to get better over time, but you're never going to get rid of 100% of those. In fact, even if you did get rid of most of them, even at 99.999% accuracy, right, you're still looking at about 2 to 3 billion mistakes every year just on ChatGPT alone on its current usage. So that's generative. Okay. Next up is pre-trained. What does pre-trained mean? Well, the AI gets trained on all of the language available. Well, what does that mean? Let's start with English. Okay. Get all the books you can and dump them all into AI and have them read the transcripts. After you get all of the books in the Library of Congress and in the public domain, start going through UN transcripts and Reddit. Anything that demonstrates how the language actually works. Okay, but what if the language isn't English? Maybe the language is cats, pictures of cats. So your AI can understand how to recognize from any angle what a cat looks like so that it can maybe generate different pictures of cats in different situations. Or maybe it's not cats, it's whales. Maybe it's not pictures of whales. Maybe it's whale sounds. Maybe you're a biologist and you've recorded all of these whale sounds over the last 50 years and you're dumping them all into AI to see what kind of language whales have, or is it just random noises? They're actually doing this research, by the way. And yes, whales actually have their own language. It's kind of amazing. Anyway, this is pre-trained. You're training it on all of the language available. This is what we call a large language model. You'll hear that term a lot, LLM. We also call this the training data, and I'm going to refer to this term throughout this because what we consider to be the training data is very important. Now, different training data means different specialties. So yes, different AIs. We're all used to hearing about Claude and Gemini and ChatGPT that can do all of these things, but in reality, different AIs have different specialties based on what they're trained on. And in the large LLMs, the big ones, this training data is refreshed maybe every 12 to 18 months, which means AI often doesn't have fully up-to-date information. Often what you're looking at is a you're looking at an intelligence that knows things from a year or two ago, but not necessarily what happened yesterday. Sometimes they have integrations into current news outlets, and so they can do that sort of thing. But consider that whatever AI you're using doesn't have up-to-date information. So that's pre-trained. Okay, moving on to transformer. Basically, the AI transforms words into numbers and then back into words. Okay, this is how they do the statistics. Honestly, you don't need to know how this works. It's very technical. I just didn't want to skip over the word. But just so you know, the transformer is the statistical engine underneath the whole thing. Okay, so AI in general, how it works. It's fed a huge fountain of knowledge. It transforms all of that into numbers and statistics, and then it generates a response based on those statistics and context clues, generates that from scratch. Okay, That's in general how AI works. Uh, we're always going to get more training data. We're going to get more electricity. We're going to get more economies of scale. We're going to get better code writing these. And so AI is only going to get better from here. The AI you're using today is going to be the dumbest, most expensive, least knowledgeable AI you will probably ever use. Good to keep in mind. It's kind of a little bit mind-blowing when I think about that. Anyway, that's how AI actually works. Now I want to move into how people think that AI works because these mental models are very important. So when we think about AI, most people, most of the time, their mental model looks something like this. Okay. AI is a genie that just magically converts a business mess into cash. It sounds really silly when I say it that way, but if you're honest, you kind of like hoping that that's really what it is. I'm just going to give GPT to everybody in my company, and all of a sudden, all this business mess will be magically converted into profit. Uh, this is why 95% of those pilots in the MIT study failed. Okay. What people are thinking about is AI is a solution in and of itself. It is our end goal. We need to do AI, and once we've done AI, dot 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 profit. Not sure how that works, but it's going to happen. Uh, People think of AI as this monolithic tool that does everything, does it all well, and it's always correct. It's always right. Remember, those 2 to 3 billion mistakes made every year. It's not true. AI is none of these things. And this is a model that I want you to uh, not only turn away from, but also start cueing your ears for. And as your employees and friends and colleagues are talking about AI, you want to start hearing people who are thinking about AI this way so that you can train them to think about it differently. Okay. Here's a more, all maps are incorrect. Some maps are useful. Here's a more useful model that I want you to think of for AI. Think of AI like a workshop full of tools. Okay. AI is not a single tool that does everything. You have to pick the best tool for the job that you want done. Okay. AI is actually a category of technologies all arriving at the same time. And because they all arrived at the same time, it's easier for us to think about it as a single monolithic kind of tool, but it's not. It's a category of technologies that include content creation, which is all of the marketing stuff that we're doing and making pictures of cats, and that's great. It includes the ability to take a whole lot of information and go deep and research anything you want. It can analyze data incredibly well, right? It can act as a thought partner and automation. These, in my mind, these five categories are uh, the major categories of tools that you're going to see in your AI journey. Okay, it is not uh, it's not a magic genie. Think of yourself as walking into this workshop and you don't know how anything works, and you don't know if that particular uh, chisel is going to be better than this particular chisel, or why do they have 8 different hammers up there? I don't know. You got to go run some experiments. AI is not a magic genie. It's tools that you have to work, and that takes discipline, and that takes planning. That discipline and planning is part of what we're going to be talking about in the rest of the series. But again, 95% of these pilots failed because they didn't have the discipline, they didn't have the planning, they didn't see this as a series of tools to work. They saw it as a magic thing that's going to just fix stuff. So that's the mental model that I want you to start approaching AI with. Okay, next up. humanity, and we're running way ahead of time, so we'll have plenty of time for questions and conversation after. Um, Humanity plus AI. What will AI be doing? What will humans be doing? Is AI going to take over? That's the subject of part three here. Um, what we've been talking about up until now is a conversation about AI, and I want to switch to a conversation about business. So the question is, in your business, what types of experiences is your business providing for your customers, for your vendors, for your staff? Does it look like this? Do you want AI to be your public face? And honestly, robotics. AI is getting a lot of it's getting all of the press these days, but robotics is not far behind and it's not getting as much uh, print time. But Tesla considers itself to be not so much a car company as a robotics company that happens to build cars right now. Um, they are expecting people not too far down the road to see humanoid robots as as cars, where everybody's got one. And yeah, they're a big expense, but how can you get by in today's world without it? So, do you want AI and robotics to be your public face, to be how you interact with a customer or your vendors or your staff, or how your staff interacts with themselves internally? What kinds of experiences is your business providing? Okay. Will your customers demand a human interface? Right now, a recent survey said about a third of the people surveyed will not do business with companies that are using AI that they can detect. That seems high to me, but there's also a whole lot of uh, uh, news lately. It's like I said, May 2026. It's graduation season, which means it's graduation speech season. And there were several, Eric Schmidt, a couple others, several very large, very well-known tycoons in the industry who got booed on stage because they were talking about the benefits of AI. A lot of kids these days are coming up thinking AI is just stealing all of our jobs. Why do we want this? Like they don't want it. They're not going to support companies that use it. However, I guarantee AI is going to bring in low-cost competitors into the market. If somebody can come in with 100% AI and do 80% of what you're doing, 70% of what you're doing for a third of the cost because they don't have any overhead, uh, that's going to gain some traction. And that traction is going to put downward pressure on your pricing. And so the question is, if people aren't willing to do business with AI, are they willing to pay a premium for human experience? I don't know. I can't answer any of these questions for you, but the point is, I need you to be thinking about this in your AI journey. These are business decisions, and these are business decisions that are going to change over time. So you want to think right now about what kind of, as it is now, AI could be this cool little new interface that you provide on your website. It could be an annoying way of not having customer support. Over time, AI is going to get better. People are going to get used to it. It used to be that when I was walking through the grocery store and I saw people on the phone in the grocery store, I was irritated. Now it's just no big deal. So eventually, people are going to become more familiar with it, more comfortable with it, and the things that they're going to demand of humans is going to change. And so for you and your business, start thinking about what kind of experience am I going to provide for my clients, my vendors, my staff, ourselves, and what's that going to look like? And be ready to understand why you're doing that based on your core values and what you're putting out into the world so that when the world changes and things change and people's sensibilities change, you can shift with that. Your decision doesn't need to be made now forever, but it needs to be being made now for right now, and then it needs to be reevaluated consistently. So that's types of experience that we're providing. Next, I want to talk about types of work, the work that we do as humans. To the question of what is AI going to be doing and what are humans going to be doing, one way to think about that is what is what is work? There's a guy named Dan Chuparkov who worked at Asana, and he studied. Uh, he had all of Asana's data available to him. In Asana, if you're not used to it, it's the checklists, it's the processes, it's the ticketing system. It is a digital platform where work gets done, and he had access to all of the statistics about what people considered to be work. And it was easy to break down because people put it into boxes. It was great. Anyway, at the very bottom, what he came up with was what he calls a hierarchy of human experience. And at the very bottom of this hierarchy, the foundation is communication. Most of what we spend our time doing in work is communication. After that, most of what we do is related to process. Okay. After that, after we've done all the communicating and we're working inside of the processes, then we do investigation. Then we solve problems. Then we make decisions. And then at the very top is imagining. These are the different types of work that he realized exist in normal day-to-day business environments. He also made a distinction here, which I want to, which is important. These these bottom ones are where AI does very, very well at. Okay, they AI communicates great. It can. I mean, we all know this. We've used ChatGPT. Uh, it explains things better than most people are going to explain things. It doesn't have emotions getting in the way. It does communication very, very well. It does process very well. If you've got a list of things you need to do and you're going to do this over and over and over again, that's custom built for a computer. That's custom built for AI. It's great. Investigation. If you look back to uh, the the different things that AI is doing, it does research and it does analysis, right? Investigation is right in its wheelhouse. However, it can't really do the things at the top of the pyramid. Okay. AI cannot solve weird new problems because they are not in the training data. AI doesn't know what to do if it's not in the training data. If it hasn't been trained on a thing and it hasn't been given instructions on a thing, then it's not going to know how to solve that thing. It's just not in the training data. That's all that it has to work from. Okay. It cannot make decisions. Decisions require ethics. It requires morals. Decisions include our hopes and our opinions and our personal history. AI can say statistically this is the thing to do, but it doesn't have your hopes and, and opinions. It doesn't have your history of uh, I grew up poor, and so I had to do this way, and so therefore I'm going to make the decision this way. This is the reason that we different people in the same circumstance make different decisions. And because of that, we have different outcomes. We have different businesses. We have different approaches to things. That's why we don't have a single way of doing everything because our decisions aren't just statistical. AI cannot do decisions the way that we do. And so this is fundamentally belongs in the human's purview. Okay. And imagining. AI doesn't do imagining. It's not in the training data. All right. If AI would never have invented the iPhone when all it ever saw was flip phones and Blackberries. That's something that humans do. So the top of this pyramid are where we belong. The bottom of this period, AI owns that. We're allowing it to take over more and more. but it does that very well. We can do that sometimes very well. We can do that sometimes very poorly, but AI is consistent about it. So we want to give it that stuff because honestly, it's kind of tedious and we don't want to do a lot of it. We don't want to follow processes all day long. We want to sit and dissolve and decide and imagine. That's fun. That's what we do best. As long as we decide to keep doing it. And this is really important. This is the whole next part of the talk here. As long as we decide to keep doing these things, we can. I want to tell you about a prediction experiment. This is Dr. Vivian Ming. She ran a randomized controlled experiment where she divided up multiple teams. There were AI only teams, there were human only teams, and there were AI plus human teams. And the idea was let's give these teams a complex forecasting problem with real world outcomes. This is something uh, that doesn't have an obvious answer, but we can make a lot of predictions about what might happen, and we can check to see later on how those predictions went. And then the purpose of it was to evaluate the collaborative performance between AI and humans. That's the setup. Okay, what were the results? Number one, AI alone, teams of AI alone, outperformed teams of humans alone. These days, that's not big news. It's pretty well known. AI is starting to do better diagnostics than well-trained doctors. It's starting to read X-rays better than well-trained radiologists. This is interesting and fascinating, but not really newsworthy. Here's something surprising. AI plus human teams did worse than the AI alone teams, 90 to 95% of the time. AI plus human teams, uh, in 5% of those, outperformed all others. So everybody is running around saying that when you combine AI and humans, they say this about doctors a lot. When you combine AI and humans, then you get better results than either on its own. This experiment showed that that's not actually the case. So big question here is why. She went in and did all the research because she's a good doctor, and what she found was that she could break down these people and these teams into basically three types. Okay, type one, she called the automators. And this is the group where the people basically took the question and fed it into the AI, and whatever the AI came back with, they accepted that as the answer. Automators. Remember a few slides ago, the 2 to 3 billion mistakes the AI makes per year? Right. So if we're not questioning AI, if we're just feeding it, and we do this all the time. You see all kinds of news articles about attorneys using AI to generate their briefs, and the AI just uh, invents case law and uh, and other cases and citations out of thin air because it's generative and it knows that case law belongs here, and so it just sticks one in. And then the attorney goes and puts that in front of the judge and they do the research and it's not even there. This happens all the time. These are the automators. These are the people that just take AI as truth. And it causes all kinds of problems, which is why this team didn't do any better than AI alone. Next type of team or type of individual, they called the validators, which is similar, but these people used AI to confirm what they already believed. And so the question of why does AI alone do better than these teams fits squarely in this category, because if you already have an answer, an idea of why uh, of what the outcome is going to be, then you're going to ask the questions that confirm that position, that point of view. And it's going to lead you down a single track. And if you're wrong, which often we are, then it's just going to give you bad answers. So the validators, the people that just use AI to confirm what they already believe, did very poorly as well. There's a third category that she calls cyborgs. Don't love that title, but we're going to use it for now. Um, these people argued with the AI. They asked it to steelman positions that they disagreed with. They asked it to, when it gave very confident answers, they didn't believe it and they asked it to prove its confidence. They double checked all of that. They asked it to check their own biases and their assumptions. This group here outperformed everyone, outperformed the automators, outperformed the validators. They outperformed the best run AI only models. They even outperformed prediction markets, which right now are the best way we know of to model predictions. So this is the big takeaway, right? If we bring this back to the hierarchy, and specifically this area here, what we can see is that the automators and the validators were letting AI own the solve position. Okay. The cyborgs were owning not only solve, because that's a fundamentally human position, but they were also overseeing the investigate position. They were using AI to help them check their own hidden biases and assumptions. This is how we need to be using AI. And let me tell you, it's hard. She did, I think it was probably an fMRI scan of all of the people that were in this program. And what she found was that the automators and the validators, they had a 40% drop in cognitive activity compared to the cyborgs. Checking your biases, disconfirming your own beliefs is hard. It's way easier to let the AI do the work, which is why 95% of the pilots in the MIT study failed, because we're basically batting away at this piñata saying, this is going to work. Here, let me feed AI into everything. It'll make all my decisions. It'll solve all my problems. And I'll just take it and I'll feed it back into the market. And it doesn't work. Okay. What this requires of us, what this study shows us, is that if we're going to be better than our competition, if we're going to be outperforming the marketplace, if we're going to be outperforming AI only companies, what this requires of us is to be more human. The winners at the end of the day here are going to be the ones that are really good at the uncomfortable human stuff, because everybody's going to have the same access to the same data and the same AI. How do you get ahead in that competitive market? You be human even better. Okay. Takeaways and what's next in the rest of the series. Takeaways I want you to leave with. Okay. Number one, AI is a category of technologies. It's not a genie. There will always be things AI can't do. Uh, we're in the early days right now. So AI is going to keep getting better. Start using it now while it's cheap. Yes, it's cheap. You can get AI for $20 a month for Claude. I mean, that's dirt cheap. That's nothing. You can pay for everybody for in your company for that. You remember way back in when you got all of Netflix for $8 and now it's like $25 a month for everything? This is probably in terms of absolute dollars, the least expensive AI is going to be. Uh, in terms of dollars per value, it's probably going to be the most expensive. So over time, AI is going to get more and more valuable for the money you're putting in. But right now, you can get AI for free in a lot of places and cheap in all the others. Uh, Now's the time to get in and work and play with it. Uh, the workshop, this mental model workshop, it keeps getting new tools on you. New tools just show up in your workshop without you knowing about it. So what you need to do is watch the AI news. You need to stay curious. You need to play with it. You need to give your employees and staff latitude. And we're going to talk in the next rest of the series about what that looks like and how to build that infrastructure, that platform for you. But the takeaway here is we're in the early days. The door is still open. Yes, everybody's talking about it. Everybody's saying all your competitors using it. They're using it the same way you are. Nobody really knows how to do this yet. Uh, this is to get you ahead of the game. Keep thinking for yourself. This is a really big one. This is going to become more and more important over time. Be more human, not less. This is how we win the game. What's next? This webinar has been why AI isn't making a difference in your business yet. Next up, we're going to be talking about hidden risks of use over the next 4 weeks. We're going to do this every Friday at 11 a.m. Mountain Time. Hidden risks of AI, the most useful AI tools available today, how to really implement AI in your business for your business with a full structure, and then hey, how to use AI as a force multiplier, a real day-to-day superpower. Okay. This webinar was foundational. Now that you know how AI works and you've got some mental models, we can go dive deep into how to actually implement it and some more uh, practical tips. Before we get into questions, which I want to open it up for questions because we've got time, I would like you to ask yourself, this is a, like I said, this is primarily an educational workshop. This is not sales heavy. I would like you to think, who else in my network, clients, my customers, um, my potential customers, who else would be benefited by knowing this information? If you can invite some others, the website here is striveit.com/AI webinar. We'll be running these for the next 4 weeks. If you'd like to contact me directly, contact@striveit.com is my email address. And thank you all so much for your time. If there are any questions, I will stick around for that. And if not, I hope you all have a wonderful Friday and weekend. If you Are there any questions, you just dump them up in chat for us. Okay, here's one. Which AI tool should I start with? Um, I'm gonna have it depends on what you want to do. Again, this is what tool is it that you want to be using? ChatGPT and Claude are obvious openers. Yes, it's worth paying for them. I can talk about why in like the next webinar. Um, if you're doing a lot of content marketing, um, image creation, image generation, video, Canva is one of the best ones out there. We're going to be talking later on about a general purpose safe AI program that we're offering that everybody can use. Um, but we'll talk more about that. But really, the answer to that is it depends on what you're looking to do. You mentioned AI can't solve new weird problems, but isn't every business problem a little bit unique? Yeah, it is, exactly. AI can't solve the problem for you, but you can give it context, you can give it background, you can give it data, and you can use it as a thought partner to do these things that we talked about, to question your assumptions, to come up with possibilities, to say, here's how I'm thinking about this. Where am I maybe making a mistake? And you can use AI to double check your own uh, your own biases and your own assumptions and help point out things to you that are really hard for us as humans to see. We can't see our own blind spots. And so that's one of the best ways, and we're going to get into in detail how to do that later. But that's one of the best ways. You, the AI isn't going to be solving your problem. I dumped 4 months of research of all of the AI everything about AI that I could learn into AI. And I didn't say, come up with the webinars for me. I said, help me organize all this. And I spent the last 2 days coming up with this webinar. This is definitely like humans are doing the solving and the imagining and the deciding, and AI you want to use for the things it's really good at, investigating and analysis. If AI was trained 12 to 18 months ago, how do I know when its information is too outdated to trust? Well, you can ask it. That's an obvious answer. If there's if if the AI model was you're at the tail end of it, you might be getting outdated information. You can double check it. You can do web searches. You can say ask it at what date is this as of what date is this information accurate, and it should tell you. Uh, Use AI to check AI is going to be a really big a really big way you can use those. Are there content, copyright, or other precautions we should consider if using if using it to generate visual or written content? Great question. I think no. If you're using AI to generate content, then what you know for sure is that content didn't exist before elsewhere. Uh, the AI companies themselves are in all kinds of copyright problems because they they went, remember that whole big picture of all the books in the world I showed you? Uh, they didn't necessarily have permission to use all those books as training data, and they did anyway. So they have concerns about copyright violations. But you're not taking a work that exists already and passing it off as your own. And so you don't really need to, obviously, this is the big caveat. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a copyright attorney. The way I understand it, though, is that this is more you don't really have to worry about copyright violations because you're not taking someone else's work and claiming it to be yours. A good backdoor to that or CYA kind of thing is in any of your online privacy notices, you can have a content notice saying we do our best to confirm that this is not actually copyrighted. If it is, let us know, get a hold of us. Here's contact information. So you can provide an option for takedown notices, but or requests. But I think you're probably okay posting anything generated by AI and calling it your own. Any other questions? Okay, wonderful. Thank you all so much for your time. I will hope to see you all in a week again at this time. Please come next time. As I said, the next one is going to be about hidden risks of AI. So if you have any specific questions about that, please come with some questions prepared. We'll try to answer them all in the content, and if not, then we'll have Q&A time at the end. Thank you all. Have a wonderful weekend, and I hope to see you soon.